When you look at electric mobility and you look at which sector will electrify the fastest, motorcycles will be the fastest. Motorcycles, tuk-tuks, and then you're looking at commercial vehicles.
Welcome to Techlife. We cover the biggest technology trends impacting our lives. My name is Kelly Boss. Now, talking about impacting our lives, e-mobility, because this is about protecting our environment. And today we are at Kiri EV. We are talking how two-wheelers will lead the charge towards green mobility. And some of the things that we are going to talk about, and you can read this also on our paper today, on our pullout, on the enterprise pullout. We are talking about how it will be easier for two-wheelers to lead the charge. We are not saying cars will not come. Cars will come. It will be a little bit slower because of infrastructure. But for two-wheelers, there are solutions. On today's episode, the CEO of Kiri EV, Mr. Christopher Mara, will be preempting some of this. We'll have this conversation on how maybe perhaps the problem of infrastructure can be solved through battery swapping and other solutions. Another thing we'll be talking about is, we all know, or if not, is 1.5 million bikers in Kenya, especially the border-borders. And most of these bikes on the road you see are mostly new. So in this space particularly, versus the cars where it's always fresh off the boat, but it's not a new car. It's usually a used car outside Kenya. But this is a space where people buy new stuff. And that's why the charge towards e-mobility will be led by two-wheelers. Welcome to TechFile. Enjoy the show.
So this is a portable charger, we're saying, which you can just plug into any normal socket. When the battery is full, it will show you that it's at 100% here, like that. And then you just come, you can plug it and take it to the bike. So as you can see, just connect. Once it's connected, as you can see, this has space for another battery, or you can use this as a storage space. My name is Chris Mara. I'm the founder of Kiri EV, and we are an electromobility company that's been running for the last 3 years. We're based here in Nairobi, Kenya, particularly on Kiambu Road and Regis Springs. This is where we have our headquarters, our offices, and we also have our workshop here. This facility is where we do a lot of our R&D, product development, testing, and just bringing it all together. Switch on your bike. So the bike is now on. It's very easy to operate. So it has a cut-off switch. So the bike is on now. As you can see, bike comes with a 3-speed mode. See, it's already running. And you just keep on switching the modes. For the last 3 years, we've brought in a couple of bikes, we've tested them, we've reiterated the versions that we've brought. So now on like our version 3 of the bike, what we found is a lot of guys want the bike, riders out there, companies, and they're very interested. But the main challenge and the first question you always get is, where do I charge the bike? And for us, so we've come up with several solutions. The first one is we give you a charger. The same way when you buy your phone, you get a charger. Except nowadays the new phones don't come with those, but we do that. We give you a portable charger where you can go and charge anywhere. The battery, one, you can remove it from the bike, so you can remove it, take it to the house and charge. But you can also, it also has a charging port in the bike. So you don't have, if you have a socket outside or an extension, you can also charge it outside. So that's option one. And that's the easiest option because it gives you the freedom to move around anywhere. So anywhere you go, you have the charger, you can charge. Option two is we're setting up charging points. So these are public charging points like in malls, in shopping centers, and you come and you park your bike and you plug in with your charger, and then you're paid to charge for the amount of time that you're there for. Then the third option is battery swapping. So we're setting up battery swapping stations, and this is where you come and within 5 minutes you give us your depleted battery, we give you a fully charged one, you pay a fee and you go. So this is the same as petrol, you know, the same way you go and walk into a petrol station, 2 minutes, they fill your tank and you go. And then all the other bits operate just as normal. So it's just back brake, front brake, all the other bits operate as normal. You have your indicators, you have your lights. That's pretty much it. When you look at electric mobility and you look at which sector will electrify the fastest, motorcycles will be the fastest. Motorcycles, tuk-tuks, and then you're looking at commercial vehicles. Why motorcycles will be the fastest? First of all, this sector has, like you said, 1.5 plus million motorcycles on Kenyan roads, growing at about 20 to 25,000 units per month. Motorcycles are also the only category where 90% of the vehicles are bought new, 0 mileage from showroom. When we talk about new cars, we're usually talking about new second-hand. You know, they haven't been used by anyone in the country. But with motorcycles, it's brand new, 0 mileage. And because the price difference between electric and petrol is not that great, we see that this is where people will electrify the fastest, because also the savings they're making, and because the vehicle is not so different from what they're currently used to. So this bike is very simple. As you can see, instead of an engine, here we have the battery. Space for 2 batteries, so one battery will get you about 70 kilometers on a full charge. Full charge costs 2 units of electricity when you're charging at home. So with 2 batteries, you're getting up to 140 kilometers. Because there are less moving parts, this is very easy to maintain and take care of. So right now, no engine, so you don't have any of those air filters, engine oil, spark plugs. You know, all you have to do is maintain the battery. 2, the only other main thing you're maintaining is the brake fluid. These disc brakes need to be changed. So brake fluid is topped up here, and then you change the disc pads. This is changed about every 2,000 kilometers. When you compare all of these costs versus petrol, so a petrol bike. So when you look at charging a battery, so when you charge at home, it's 50 shillings. 50 shillings to charge the battery. 50 shillings will get you 70 kilometers. Compare this to a litre of petrol, which costs 130 shillings. Actually, now it's gone up to 169. And that will get you about 30 kilometers. So you're getting, almost 3 times of an electric battery than you are getting from a petrol. When we started off, we brought in a wide range of models. We brought a wide range of models and different types of chemistries. So we brought in, your sports bike, sports-looking bike, which we call the Moran. We brought in a normal border-looking bike, which we call the Nomad, and then we brought in a scooter, which we call the Fanstar. So the idea was to test, to see where the market is, who's interested in what type of bike, what the type of uses are going to be. Like we all know, the biggest segment is border and the delivery, mostly for commercial use type purposes. So the border type was the one that obviously has gained more popularity. This, for us, we've worked to make sure that it has the same kind of carrying capacity, the same type of feel and use as the normal petrol ones. But we've also realized that there's a segment on the scooters. There's a lot of, Kenya has a big expatriate community, which for them, they're used to using scooters in their home countries. So when they come here, they naturally gravitate to that and they want to use that. But we've also seen that within the youth, people want mobility, that freedom to move around. And an electric scooter offers that. Because one, if you look at the price of buying even a cheap second-hand car, that's second-hand in Kenya is maybe, you're looking at a minimum of 250 to 300,000. Buying 8-year-old Vitz that's newly imported into the country is now looking at between 900 to $1 million. Tell me where someone under the age of 30 is going to get $1 million bob to buy a brand new car and especially the cost of living right now. So an electric scooter is just a nice, easy, fun way of getting around. It's affordable. It saves you on your transportation costs. It's cheap to maintain. So that's another market segment. And then the other one we've seen on the sports bike is, I'd say, the weekend riders. People who want to commute to work and also want to just take a bike out on the weekend, let their hair down, have some fun. Guys who go to Whistling Morans and ride around for the weekend. That's the other market that we're seeing. It's still a small segment, but it's starting to grow. Here is where like I said, we're working to redesign some of these parts locally. So here you can see this is where we've worked to redesign the wire harness. These are some of the versions of the wire harness that we have developed. A lot of this is cutting up, splicing, and really working to make sure what is coming out. So like here we basically laid out what the battery is like. So this is where the battery will be. This is the back of the bike, that's the front of the bike. And we basically laid out and we built our harness here. The final product, once we build our harness, we need to test it and see how it goes. What we've done from here, we build a test bench. So on the test bench, we basically have where we lay out the wire harness. So this is laid out and we test whether the wire harness is working. So here we have our, basically the bike is built out here. We have the lights, the front, back, the wire harness, and then it goes out to all the major components. And this we can test whether what we're building is coming out as we want. Here we do a lot of repair and maintenance. As you can see, this is the motor. This is basically the motor this is what runs on the engine for the motorcycle. What we basically do, for this one, you can see this one has been burnt out. What we do is we can open them up, we can repair them, or we can swap them out into new ones. This is basically our service and maintenance part. Myself, so I studied business and finance in university. But looking back at it, I should have been an engineer because I seem to have gravitated to that sector. But once I graduated, I got into renewable energy. So I was doing backup systems, solar water heaters, pico hydro systems, and then the natural progression was into e-mobility. It's the next big thing, and it's where we're seeing a huge potential to decarbonize transportation. And also there are not many established players, so it was a great opportunity to get in and become one of the first movers in this market. In terms of emissions, Kenya is blessed with green energy. If you look at our grid, we generate a lot of wind power, a lot of hydrogen, a lot of hydro, a lot of geothermal. All of these are green sources. So you'd say up to our grid on a good day is almost 90% green. So it means from production all the way to use, we can be completely green because it's more or less being charged with power that's been generated from renewable sources. And this also means that for us, if we can get more electrification, the government goal right now is 5% by 2025 to 2030. 5% of all vehicles bought in Kenya should be electric. If this is achieved, we'll save so much of our import bill. And most of it right now is going to buy in petrol. For us, we want to establish ourselves as one of the leading players within this space, bring in a quality product that the market wants. For us, we've built our product around what the market wants rather than what we think it wants. That's why we've taken some time to go and research and get feedback from the clients and then slowly build up on that product that way. For us, we want to bring a lot of that production here locally. So right now, we started off, the first bike we brought was completely knocked down kit imported from China and India. But as we progress over the last 3 years, we're slowly increasing the local content. Right now, I'd say we're at about 30%. I think we can get to about 60%, and in the next 5 years, we want to bring this to at least 90%. This one will create local jobs. And with local jobs also comes the local supporting industry. So if we're doing frames, someone else is going to be like, you know what, this guy's producing enough, I can now manufacture tires. Someone else will be like, you know what, I'm already doing the wires, so there's be more increase. So there'll be more jobs created, and there'll be an industry and an ecosystem that revolves around this. Of course, we don't want to be just locally based in Kenya. We're looking to expand beyond East Africa into Sub-Saharan Africa. And if we can, why not export back to the countries where these technologies came from? Export back to India, export back to China, export back to the West. Right now, I'd say what the sector and the industry needs is a lot of government support. Government has been proactive. They've created some laws and some tax breaks around importing knockdown kits. But the process of getting that onto that tax bracket, or that, to getting that privilege is quite tedious. And especially so in sectors where you see these new technologies are usually being driven by the younger population in our country, where resources are scarce. And we need that government support so that we're able to drive the future and be able to bring these technologies here cheaper and make it more affordable for Kenyans, and also create these industries. Without that support, a lot of these industries are going to die or going to struggle to gain traction, and you're going to find that we're going to end up importing from the rest of the world. So right now, I'd say the key thing that this needs is, one, government support, and two, like what you're doing right now, creating awareness around the industry. This helps. It gets more people to understand what we're doing, what the new technologies are. And I'm sure once this airs, someone will call me and be like, by the way, I've seen you, I want to try it. And that's how the word spreads.
Well, thank you very much for watching TechFile. I hope you've learned something about electric vehicles. And last week at Standard Group, we had a showcasing event after spending nearly 2 weeks with different electric vehicles at the group. And I'll leave you with this bite from our CEO about just Standard Group embracing e-mobility.
As a Standard Group, and some of you have already said, we've always embraced innovation. It's actually one of our values, so it's not something we do randomly. It's one of our core values, and we believe that as the business environment changes, as the way we do business is changing, we must continually innovate. And when you think about the media space, the innovation opportunities are many. As you heard, we have the core of our business is journalism. We have the supporting aspects of it, which is operational. Then we have a countrywide presence. If you look at what we've been trying to do right here at our head offices, we embarked on installing a solar plant. I still try to remember, is it just slightly less than 200 kilowatt hours capacity? But what that does is that it caters for about 40%, especially with this hot January, February, March, or whatever sun. I think it can cover up to 40% of our daytime requirement. Our hope as we progress, and we all know that the cost of implementing what is high, is to try and bring 100% of our daytime requirement under solar. I'm glad that the team has explored ways of just embracing this e-mobility. We use a lot of vehicles, we consume a lot of fuel, and as the business is changing around us, we are looking at more cost-effective ways of running our operations. I think Nairobi and Kenya at large today is getting better and better roads, which means the quality of the surface is improving. However, I think one of the challenges we still have is provision for, the discipline around how do vehicles share roads with motorbikes. I think we still have challenges around safety and all that. But hopefully in the near future, as we see our demand mix changing, we can actually adopt more of the motorbikes and more of the electric vehicles in our, not just even in our distribution, but even in our editorial duties, because we have to send our teams across the country every day in the news gathering assignments. And I think as fossil fuels keep going up, I mean, today the cost of petrol is 170, I think 72. Only about 2 years ago, we were buying fuel at about 100 shillings. So if you think about our cost of operations, that's a significant increase. And unfortunately for us, we are not able to pass all these costs escalations to our customers. So if we are transporting the newspaper, it's still at the same 60 shillings. You will not cover, unlike power and other things where you find cost of fuel adjustment. For us, the newspaper, there's no cost of fuel adjustment. You have to maintain it at the same price. So we must be ingenious, we must be innovative in how we find ways of bringing our cost of operation down, so that we are not either struggling to absorb the extra cost or carrying the weight of not being able to pass this cost to the consumer. And to the partners who are here today, I can assure you that we want to work together to find solutions to how the environment will embrace e-mobility. But also, we want to encourage you to work with us to popularize your products. Remember, we are a media organization. Our work is to tell what is happening, to inform, to educate, other than to entertain. And therefore, use our platforms, let's work together, let's popularize the brands. Kenyans need to know that today, these things are being done by Kenyans. I heard that we were manufacturing motorbikes in Rwanda first before we came to Kenya. Maybe that speaks to the policy makers as to why Kenyans would go to Rwanda then come back to Kenya. But it shows you that, if this has been done since 2016, then let's embrace and make it, local. I think one of the challenges I've seen is that we like importing a lot, but if the right policies are put in place to encourage local manufacturing, then I think that will help adoption of some of these technologies.
KTN News. Get the whole story.